when he was no longer around to keep her in check. Laura remembered her mother's words as if it were yesterday. "Better ditch the bikini," she'd said. "They'll mistake you for a beached whale." Laura wasn't nearly as fat as her mother liked to make out. A little overweight, yes, but she was surely of average build for a citizen of Northern Ireland. And she didn't even own a bikini. Cursed with a ghoulishly white Celtic complexion, Laura tended to stay out of the sun, which was one of the reasons she didn't go to Spain. Even so, she'd been flattered that her colleagues had asked her to go to Alicante with them, and grateful that Claire included her all the time. They were poles apart, she and Claire. Laura had freckles, eyes the colour of seaweed, and scraggly ginger hair, whereas Claire was skinny, with cobalt blue eyes and long, shiny, jet black hair. She was beautiful, popular too. Everyone at the library adored her. In the end, Laura had lied. She said she'd been invited to the wedding of one of her cousins. She had 12 cousins on her mother's side, and they were all married except for one, Declan. Same-sex marriage would have to be legalised in Northern Ireland before Declan and his partner could get married. But Laura's colleagues knew nothing about her family, and so, as implausible as that excuse was, it got her out of the trip. Afterwards, she'd listened to the suntan girls reminiscing about their holiday in Spain. They talked about nothing else for a week. The weather was lovely. We were blathered. The paella was cracker. Spanish men have such firm arses. It had all made Laura rather envious. In turn, Laura told them a bit about the fictitious wedding. She'd spent hours during the holidays devouring novels. As the main characters tied the knot at the end of a few of her summer reads, she used that for inspiration. She made herself a cup of tea now, sitting next to Harry on the sofa and cradling the mug in her hands. Laura thought of all the reasons she couldn't go this year. A week in France. "Who would look after you for a start?" she said to Harry, stroking his soft fur. Plus, she didn't have a passport. Deep down, she knew these were excuses rather than reasons not to go. She could easily apply for a passport, and her neighbour, Mrs. Doherty, would happily take in the cat. She'd have to make up a story. Perhaps she could buy her flights. Claire said they were cheap, and then drop out at the last minute. One of her uncles could die, or her mum could break her leg. Then it wouldn't look like she hadn't wanted to go in the first place. Lyon. That was this year's destination. There were direct flights from Dublin. Laura had never been to France. She'd never been abroad unless you counted their family holidays on the mainland. They'd taken the ferry to Scotland, from Larne to Stranraer, 4 or 5 times when she was little, when her dad was still alive. But she'd never taken the plane. And this was the main reason Laura didn't want to go. She had an irrational fear of flying. Her stomach pitched at the thought of boarding an aircraft. She couldn't stand the idea of putting her life into the hands of a pilot she couldn't see. She knew it was safer to travel by plane than any other means of transport, but that didn't help. She didn't mind taking the boat. She could swim if the worst came to the worst, or at least stay afloat until help came. But if something went wrong in the plane, she couldn't fly, or hover. This was why she'd bottled out of going to Spain the previous year. Silly, but there it was. But France tempted her more than Spain. A lot more. Laura was a Francophile. She'd taken French A-level and gone on to read French at Queen's. She'd read novels in French, her favourite writers being Guy de Maupassant and Marcel Pagnol. She watched old French films, especially by new wave cineastes.